Well, here we are.
Here we are.
Okay, we're going to look at ASP.NET tonight.
No.
Yes.
Okay.
We've paused John Stewart.
Yeah.
I only hope he doesn't turn back on. Why don't you
Turn off
mute,
the TV.
turn it up? Well, I was going to say mute it because I just like looking at him.
Okay.
But turning it off is fine too.
So tell me, I've never heard of ASP.NET.
What
is
is
it?
it? Exactly. Okay, so, and this is clearly Visual Studio 08. And there's going to be more here than we can talk about. This is just going to be kind of a little intro thing because I know you came from classic ASP. That would be 3.0.
Yeah, well.
And now we're
Good times.
getting late here and getting full into yawns.
Don't do that. Oh.
I know, huh? It's catchy. So, okay. We'll just kind of jump right into it, and I'll show you things kind of as they come up, right? And this is going to be a very sparse intro, but, you know, it'll... And I've never taught this topic before either, so...
Well, it's a good thing that I know a little about it, but I'll try and help you out.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh, what's that button do?
So I'm going to say new project because it's cool. No, because they make me. Okay. So you can go here. I like VB. Somebody who speaks C# or C++ can do that. But I'm going to do VB. I'll go to web application, right? Let's call it first ASP. Yay. I'm going to create a separate directory for it. I am not going to add it to source control right now, but of course I could, right? And it'll take a minute to fire all this stuff up.
If since this is an intro, you could tell us a little bit about source control.
This is an intro about source control.
Dang.
That's a completely separate product.
See, I try to
man.
throw you guys a bone, and he's all like, no.
Okay, so, wow. Is that an ASP.NET page? No, I'm kidding. Okay. Wow. So, okay. The first thing that you're going to notice right off the bat is this output window. Okay. Is that... Stop it with the pending files and the thing. Is that this is a lot... The architecture of this is kind of along the same lines as the new architecture of SIS versus DTS.
Oh my god, I was totally going to say that.
Yeah, I know, right? So, okay. Getting down to some business here for a second. You've got... You know how SIS has the separation of the workflow and the data flow.
Sure.
Well, this has the separation of the presentation layer and the data layer.
Ooh, shiny.
Okay, yeah, I know. So over here, you don't see that right here, ASPX, you don't see that right there. But if you come here and say show all files, you can see this guy right here, the .vb, the ASPX.vb, which is the code behind. That's what they call that, the code behind for this. And so everything on the page has an event. It's all event driven, right? And right now, all we've got are page events, which the page events are, you know, load, preload, init, so on and so on, right? And whenever you say, if I say the pre-init, then it fires up a subroutine here, and I can add code here to tell it to do stuff, and that can be anything you like. You know, just depends on whereabouts it is in the page load that you'll put in each of these, and we'll cover a little bit of that. So here the title, and the cool thing here, okay, coming from ASP.NET, the cool thing here is that it still works with classic ASP tags.
Sure.
Okay, you wouldn't expect it to, but it actually does. I'll come here. I just wanted it to match the thing, right?
Sure.
So if I come here and put this in my div tag, and I can say, yay, we're going to hello world it, right? I'm going to save that, and then the best way to do this is to right click and say view in browser, and this actually brings up its own special version of web browser and gives you your own little private version of web browser. And we should just say hello world.
Yay.
And that's just doing anything. This is the presentation layer. So I can do... Oh, I can't type tonight. And I'll take this guy here. browser again. And then... Okay, great, right? So you can do the normal type of HTML stuff that you can ordinarily do.
Sure, because it's a web page.
Right, exactly. Now, put a break tag there. And I hesitate to do this because I haven't done this in so long.
Oh my god.
What was it? Date? Was that it?
You're going to want to do like a response dot right? Or something?
Yeah, maybe.
Pretty sure. It's been a long time for me too, actually.
Response dot right date. That should work. Right? I realize you don't. It cannot be used as an expression. We'll see what happens. How's that?
Sure.
The worst we can get is an error. It's not like it's actually going to blow up.
Oh my god, fire!
Yeah, see, there you go. Well, fine. So it knew what it was talking about. I haven't done this in so long. Does it want parentheses?
Yeah, I believe it does, because it said there. With the
But I thought you used to be able to get away without it. See, now it's going to throw it into real ASP.NET kind of stuff.
It's for text, so just do like a quote sort of thing, because it's supposed to be a string.
You're going to behave now? You're not going to behave. Oh, that's because stuck at that boy right there. There we go. So, what?
I'm just amused. A certified Microsoft professional and an MVP managed to spit out some old school ASP.
Old school ASP.
Woohoo! And
God.
people celebrate around the world.
You have any idea how long it's been since I've done classic ASP?
Actually, I do. Yeah.
It's been about 2 months.
2 months?
2 months.
Okay, I would have bet longer than that.
Well, I know, but the only reason it's been 2 months is because I decided to get a couple of the pages on KS working again.
Oh my god!
Because they've been down for so long. Because something was wrong with the page counter, so I had to go in there and figure out what was messed up. Because I just said, you know what, all these pages, I might as well get them online.
That's kenposecrets.com, folks. If you're interested.
Yes, and oh my god, it was so hard. I hadn't done that in so long.
You could have asked me. I remember it slightly better.
Yeah, but all I do is bitch about how hard it is to configure things in ASP and ASP.NET, because all you got to worry about, you got to worry about the framework, and you got to worry about version DLLs and all that BS. It's just, it adds so much of a level of complication to things that I stayed out of it for so long, and now that I've been doing it for like 3 or 4 years now, and I haven't touched ASP except for what I did a couple months ago on just about 2 or 3 pages. And, oh yeah, it's hard. It's, wow. So anyway, you can see that it will do classic ASP if you know what you're doing. And I could have sworn date was it.
You have to do some sort of convert thing or something or other. It's been a little while since I've tried to just write a date. But
yeah, anyway. So, okay, so you can do that, right? And you can also put script tags in here. You can put JavaScript tags in there. Anything you can do in a classic, almost anything. I'll say almost because maybe there are some things that you can do in a classic HTML, you can do right here.
Sure, because again, it's a web page.
Right.
Yay.
So, I'll save that because, like you, I'm obsessive about saving things. And then you come over here to your toolbox. I said you come over to your toolbox, and then things just get scary from there, right? So these are external controls that I've added. We're not going to talk about that tonight. But we're going to come here to our standard controls because this is where things are cool, right? Typically, if you've got text on a page that you want to write, you're typically not going to do it in a thing like this because it has no properties. There's nothing that you can actually change there.
Sure, the whole point of doing this is to do it programmatically.
Right. So we're going to get rid of this.
All codey, scripty and stuff.
And I haven't done this basic stuff in a while either, but I'm going to put a label out there. And of course now a label can be, you can give it any name you want, right? And I'm going to say, just so that we can say, just for the sake of knowing what the name is for sure, right? You want it to, you want to give it the run at server tag. If you take that away, it'll blow up. Now this is the text. This is what's going to be displayed on the label itself. Now the label itself, if I highlight it here and go to properties, you can see that I can set font and all of that stuff in here, right?
Yay.
I can set font and background color and all that, and I can also do that here. If I come here and hit a space, I can also set background color and all that stuff there, right? So we all good?
We all good.
So if I save this, and view it in the browser, I get label. Now this is where the programming and the code behind can come in, okay? Because you can set things to happen on events, but that event can also be like the pre-init, right? So I can also say like,
oh, pre-init.
Yeah.
Pre-init. So it sounded like Prius, and I thought
I can say Sean's label dot text equals right, and now you can't run this page because this is a code behind. You have to run the front end page, right?
Sure.
So now when I come here, oh God, let this work, please! I'm on camera.
Yay!
Okay, so, but you can see now where that could be like really, really useful because you can change labels and you can change things based off of other things.
Sure,
right?
I'm going to presume you could read in variables or get the date and change it based on that. Or, ooh,
but as it stands now, we're going to do something really cool. Will you stop expanding? I'm talking to you.
Sorry, geez. I like my Cheerios at night. What can I say?
Okay, so, oops. Yeah, that's what I want. So I've got a button. What do you think I'm going to call it?
George?
Sean's butt on. And we're going to say the text is button. We're going to say, click me.
He's talking to you,
I'm going to save that. Now, what I want to happen is I'm going to come here to the event, to the button event, and I'm going to choose the click event for the button, and I'm going to take this, and I'm going to change it to that. And actually, this is just going to be a concept because I don't think it's actually going to work, and the reason it's not going to work is because I don't have, I think I would have to do a refresh. I think I'd have to do a page refresh.
Well, let's find out.
Yeah, let's find out. But I don't think it's going to work. But if it is,
I think you could probably do it in a field.
Well, I'm thinking I'm going to have to. I think I would have to go to Ajax for this. I think I have to go to Ajax for this. No, I don't. Wow, what do you know? I don't have to go to Ajax for that. So,
well, it's an event, and it changed the page.
Yeah, that doesn't mean the page is going to refresh. But so, see, it keeps changing. So, but you could count the clicks and make it change every single time, right?
Sure.
So, the whole thing is event driven, and that's a really good basic of what ASP.NET is all about. I mean, we'll get into one more thing because it's just cool. No. I'll leave the div tag one. Yes, I'll leave the div tag. So one other cool thing that just makes people fall in love with this right away is how well it handles data. Mm-hmm. I don't care how old STNG is, data still needs handling.
I'm telling you, quite a bit.
If you do something like a grid view, you can just drag a grid view over here. I'm going to go to the design mode for this because it's more cooler.
Best.
Hello. There it is. Okay. So I got my grid view here. Like that. Choose data source. New data source. It'll take a second. This box is really something. Oh, what do you want to do while we wait?
We could sing something.
Turn on Jon Stewart again?
Yeah, sure.
He's my hero.
He's so pretty.
Oh, come on now. Really?
Now we could talk about somebody else. Talk about Colbert. You guys watch Colbert?
Ah, there we go.
Hey, data source.
Stop talking about Colbert. I'm trying to work here. So I can name this whatever I want.
It's a stupid
I'm going to be
name.
really creative.
Your names are stupid.
So I'm going to do a new connection. We'll say localhost because I selected database. We'll go with CDC. Why not? Test my connection. Make sure that I'm not going to be too stupid. There we go.
Oh my god, so you've got like a source just like in SSIS and then like
Dude, like
and then
totally.
like a connection just like in the thing?
Now, one of the things I like here is it'll ask you automatically if you want to save it to the web.config file. And that's just like a config file in SIS. It'll save that locally on a file that you can change, so you can easily move your site to another box Or if you move your database to another box, you can just go in there and change a thing, and all the pages that use that will automatically use this. So it's kind of like when we used to put those our ADO connections in includes.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Used to. Listen to me. So
Long time ago.
I'll choose all of them, right? Now, you can return only unique rows, you can order by, you can where by. If you have a primary key on there, okay, if you have a primary key, you can tell it to automatically generate your insert, update, and delete statements, which is pretty cool, right?
Sure.
So I can test my query. I said I can test my query. Okay, so now I got that. And if we just save that and view it in the bruiser, of course there were errors. Why wouldn't there be?
I was going to say, don't you have to, like, hook your gritty thingy to the...
Oh, Shanzali's not doing... Oh, duh. I took those things off the page and I never took that out of there. There we go. I mean, seriously? What the hell's your problem? Handles claws. What did I... Okay, so... I'll get rid of all these. I don't think that may or may not be it. You don't have to have any of those things in there if you don't have anything to do with them, you know? Yeah, and that's something was wrong in there. I must have, when I deleted that, I must have deleted something extra.
Yeah, I wasn't watching when you deleted. Sorry.
It's alright.
I'll just sit over here being useless.
Yeah, well, yeah. Go with your strengths.
Ooh, look at that.
So, okay. That's a lot of data, right? I mean, that's ridiculous. So, what I'm going to do here is I'll turn on paging, and I'll turn on sorting, and I won't enable selection because that's not going to do us any good. So, you can edit the columns as well, right? So you can edit, you know, what the header looks like.
The name itself.
The name itself. So you got, you know, the styles. You can enable the styles. You can turn it into a template and do all kinds of nifty little stuff with it.
Very cool.
But so over here, you've got all these properties for it as well, and there is a pager settings. The default page size is 10, so we'll make it 25, right? So that's how many items are going to show up on a page, in case you were that stupid.
I thought it meant how many times it could send you the number by your little beep.
And you see here, now you've automatically got this, and without controlling the styles or anything.
Yeah, very, very shiny.
And then had we the statements generated, we could actually put the the insert and the update and the delete things over here, and we could insert a new record and update a record. It's actually pretty nifty.
That is pretty nifty.
Here's an example of one. Let's see, am I on that network? I am on that network. So here's an example of one that's not much, but a little bit fancier. And this is just straight ASP.NET here, where I've got some Ajax enabled in there. So I've got a little bit of styles here, and I've got my edit and my delete buttons here, right?
Yeah.
And when you do that, it's really nifty. It just kind of opens up that row for editing.
Very cool.
You know, I'm going to close that now. Here I've got Ajax enabled, where I can come here and say I want to see just the data mart servers. Right?
Why does it take Ajax just to narrow it down by data mart?
It doesn't, and I was messing with it a while back and I got it broken. But Ajax is a partial page refresh. So officially what's supposed to happen but isn't happening is when I click that, only the grid is supposed to flash.
I see.
And instead of the entire page. But like I said, I think I broke it because the whole thing flashed. So So anyway, that's a much nicer data grid, and you see I've got my new right here. I come over here.
Very spiffy. Oh my God, we did so many of these kinds of pages back in the day.
Oh, dude!
Before
and
.NET.
how long does it take to set all that stuff? It is ridiculous.
Even with templates, it's
totally
forever.
redonkulous.
Totally.
And you can get an entire site up with this in just a few minutes. I mean, you can do all kinds of things. I've done a few pages for you with this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now, keep in mind that this is a wizard, and it's a wizard for a reason, right?
Yeah, sure.
When you go to do too much more than that, you start running into problems with doing the grid through a wizard, and you end up in the code behind a lot more.
Yeah, sure.
And you can do, and even through the wizard, you can do all kinds of things through the code behind. I do believe I messed that up. There's my bunny. I do believe I messed that up.
I love that picture.
Store that, except I want to maximize it. There we go. Okay, I'm used to having another monitor at work, so it goes off screen. But you'll see even this data grid, right, and the data source itself both have all kinds of events that you can do, and that's one of the things I did on that other page, is the one that I just showed you with the servers.
Yeah.
When I've got the exact same data source, and what I do with it, instead of having 100 different data sources for all the different things I want to do, I just change the where clause dynamically.
Yeah.
When I do that, I change the dynamic clause, the clause, and then just reload the grid with the new query, with the new where clause. So I don't really have, it's not really a dynamic where clause in the sense of like we have dynamic SQL on the back end where it's string building.
Yeah.
It's nothing like that. It just plugs in the value, right? It just changes it and plugs in the value.
Parameterized is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, sort
I know
of
them.
thing.
I know them big words.
So, basic ASP is pretty easy. There's a lot you can do with it. There's a lot of pitfalls, especially when you go to adding web services and trying to use third-party tools, third-party controls, and stuff like that. Now, I guess we can do a quick tour of some of these as well, right? All of these.
Some of the pitfalls.
Yeah, exactly. Of some of these other elements, right? A lot of these are really self-explanatory, right?
Sure.
So list box, drop down, hyperlink, a link button. I almost always use a link button because it's got a click event, and I can do things with the click event, and the link button and the hyperlink doesn't. You can send it somewhere, but it's just a hyperlink.
Sure.
But the hyperlink button, you can make look just like a hyperlink by taking the border away, and so you can't tell it's an actual button.
Clever.
And I do all kinds of things with that, because quite often when I click a link, I want to set some sort of session variable or inform something else. I want to do something when I click and then go to the page, right?
Sure.
So a lot of times I'll use that in my pages. I'll use the hyperlink button, that when somebody clicks on a hyperlink, it saves that click information somewhere and then sends them to the page. So I can click that they went to the page, right?
Sure.
And I build that into all my things. So you can do all kinds of things like that. And these, we'll get into Ajax some other time, right? But those are just auto update panels. So anytime here, say I've got this update panel, I can drag that onto the page, and anything I put into that panel will be refreshed when the trigger is fired. And you just tell it what its trigger is. So I could say that I want this grid's trigger to be this drop-down box, so that when I select something out of the drop-down box, I can make it automatically change the query of the data source of the grid to that parameterized thing, to the parameterized value that came from the drop-down box, and then run it, but only refresh that grid. So that's a grid view, data list, and all these are about the same thing, right? They're just different formats. Okay, data list clearly does that. Details view, form view, repeater. I like the repeater because it's something you could actually do. You can tell it to repeat the data. You can tell it to repeat itself either horizontally or vertically. So it's the kind of thing that you could do a picture page with. if you kept all of your picture stuff in the database, you could do a picture page with.
I see.
And of course, then just the different types of connections. Then you've got validators down here. So you would drag this onto the page, and it's not a visual element that they would see on the page, but behind the scenes you tell it, what element it's tied to, and it'll validate it the way you tell it to. Here you've got logins. You can add automatic login stuff to your page, to your website. So you can just drag a couple of these password recovery and login status and login name and whatnot, and it builds an automatic login system for you. It's not quite that easy, but in theory, that's more or less what it does. Script manager, that's ASP stuff. You can do the classic HTML stuff over here. You've got a few classic HTML tags, but I believe the difference is these guys don't have, either they don't have code behind, or they don't have the amount of code behind that these .NET ones elements do. So you'll almost never use these HTML elements. If I can find them again, there they are. You'll almost never use these guys, right? And so the rest of it, I mean, being a web programmer, there's nothing else I can really tell you until we just get into projects and start doing stuff, right? For every one of these grids here, I'm pointing at the screen again.
Yeah.
For every one of these data views down here, you can code your own in the code behind. So if you don't like the wizard, or don't like the way the wizard is doing something, or just want that control, you can come in here on the page load, or in any element, and you can load your data, create your data grid. You can do everything directly here in code and still have it display on the page, right? But you can do anything you need to in the back end as well, and use any kind of any kind of ODBC or whatnot that you need to.
Score.
So, anything else?
Oh, we should talk more about Ajax next time. And you talked about enabling Ajax and what goes into that. If it's just a little check mark. Or...
Yeah. One of the things that, just to kind of unwrap things up a little bit, one of the things I liked at first was this calendar object, because you can just drag a calendar object on there and have a calendar.
Which is just brilliant.
Yeah, but unfortunately, it's a real disappointment because there's no way to tie it to anything. It's not data enabled. It's a calendar. Big deal. I haven't known many times when I just needed a calendar on the page without it actually being a functional calendar, right? So...
I suppose I could see a situation, but yes, it would be much nicerly if you could, add appointments and things like that. If you could
tie it to a date field in a database, right? I mean, that would be just nirvana. And I've talked to a couple of guys, and they go, "Well, that's harder to do than it sounds because we don't know your database structure or anything." I don't have to know my database structure. All you have to know is the date field, and then what field I want to display in the calendar. This isn't rocket surgery, because if you build a calendar on the back end and the code behind, you can loop through your data like we used to in the calendar thing that you wrote in ASP. You can loop through it and you can find all of your stuff and you can put it in. So don't tell me it can't be done.
Yeah, it occurs to me it wouldn't be necessarily that hard to recreate the calendar feature and tie it into what you have. But yeah, it would have been a really great big convenience to have it just a plug and play, so to speak.
Yeah.
What are you going to do?
Anyway, so there you go. That's... I didn't have a hell of a lot to say about it, but it's an intro.
It's an
right?
intro.
I mean, it's what it's all about. You get all kinds of things going to ASP.NET that you didn't have from ASP, and one of the things you have is view state between pages and on the same page that was very hard to manage in classic ASP. Very hard to manage, almost next to impossible sometimes. So many things are so much easier. But then again, at the same time, I caution you, it really adds a level of complexity that will just make you pull your hair out. There have been times I've been troubleshooting what seems like a simple issue for weeks before I finally get the right answer. And sometimes it seems like it comes down to a combination between shaking dead chickens over the hard drive and...
I wish you'd quit doing that.
Yeah, I know.
It makes such a mess.
I guess there are more keyboards that way.
Chickens.
Yeah. But, I mean, really, sometimes it's just you get in there and you're trying different things and blam, and blam, and blam. It's like, oh, that worked. What the hell did I do? I did like 4 things. And I did that 3 days ago and it didn't work. Why did it work today? You know?
I would like to note that there were no chickens harmed in the making of this video.
Well, not this video, but I mean...
Shh.
There were chickens harmed in the making of
dinner
of the website. Anyway, okay, that's all I got for now. I'm just kind of babbling now because it's late and I'm feeling kind of punchy.
And quick wrap up. More feedback, guys. We want to hear more about what kind of videos and how awesome we are and how educational and how this has changed your life. So give us an email.
Yeah, if you don't, you'll just get more of this.
I'm telling you.
I implore you, give me something. Give me something to do, or I'll just keep coming on here babbling while I play with my slinky.
and talking.
Make me stop.
Say goodnight, Sean.
Good night, Sean.